right. Wait till Peggy gets back. Who else are we missing? I know Mike's not coming.
Mike's not.
This will be everybody.
Sick.
Yeah.
This is probably it. I'll just wait till Peggy gets back. Right? Yeah. Where's your name? It fall? Oh, it fell. Needs to be slitted. Oh, did I get one too? Oh, look at that. Oh,
That's so
and it's chairperson, thank you.
Yeah, right? In gold color.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. So welcome to the January 12th, 2026 Community and Economic Affairs Commission. Can we please call the roll?
Stephanie Gansey,
Here.
Kirsten Erickson. Jerry Cabasco is not here. Bruce Suffern. Mike Densford. Peggy O'Hare. Robert Gorski.
Here.
Amy Tulaski.
Here.
Dave Weatherton. Kinga Skotak.
Here.
Blake Cook.
Here.
All right. With that, can I have a motion to approve the December 8th, 2025 meeting minutes?
I second.
Is there any discussion on that?
I have two discussion points.
Sure.
One, I read it, but I can't find it. On page 3 of 7, point number 5, I believe this is for the FY27 budget, not the FY26 budget, because we're currently in FY26 right now. So I believe that would be the FY27 budget, what we were talking about.
We'll amend it to read 2026-27. It starts May 1st.
So that was the first thing. And the second thing, much as I'd like to go ahead and give Mike the credit for what was said about the, where was it? Again, I should have been able to mark this in advance, but we were talking about the event, the Merry and Bright, I believe, and talking about the fire trucks with the choir right behind the fire trucks. The minutes said that Mike said that, but I said that.
Oh, okay. Could we please amend that too as well?
Yeah, page 6 or 7 there.
Page 607, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for
Got
that.
it. Okay, see it, yeah.
Do you have any other discussion? So do we have to first, just, am I supposed to, can we just call the roll, or do I need to amend it?
Yeah, with the amended, we'll make those two.
Okay, we'll make those changes, so if we could please call the roll then.
Sure. Tulaski,
Here.
or
Yes.
voting on the minutes?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I
Yes.
wasn't
Oh,
here,
yes.
but yes.
Let's see, Dennis
Sorry.
was not here. Suffern,
Yes.
Skotak,
Yes.
Cook,
Yes.
Worski,
Yes.
O'Hare, Erickson, and Chairperson Gansey.
Yes. All right, with that, it's our big item of the night. I have been around since this first came to be, so it's been awesome to see the changes, and we, have definitely utilized this program, but it's also time for some changes. So Today, we're going to go over the Belong and Bartlett Business Grant, which was formerly called BETA, Bartlett Economic Development Assistance Program. So with that, I will turn it over to Tony to give us an overview.
Thank you, Chairperson Gansey. I know that a lot of you are very familiar with this program. Some of you have applied and received them, and others have looked at them over the years. So I'm going to give a brief overview about the BETA program and then segue into our discussion, just a little background to launch the discussion in terms of rebranding it and making some adjustments to it. So the BETA program's been around for a while, about 2018. The gist of it, for those of you, again, who weren't familiar with it, is it's a small business grant assistance, and the overall goal of it was to convert vacant or underutilized space into sales tax generating uses, and with the reimbursements done after code compliant completion. So the businesses, the developers who used it had to pay for all of the improvements themselves instead of the village fronting any of the money. It all had to be paid for and done, pass every inspection, electrical, plumbing, health code, fire, everything, up to code before the reimbursements were made. Again, $50,000 was the very top limit, the most one of these BETA grants could be made for. In terms of the performance metrics, there were 26 grants total approved and 21 awarded. And just the discrepancy between that is a few of them were approved, but they never went forward for whatever reason. And currently, we have 2 pending. And one of them is a grant for more brewing to build an outdoor enclosure up on their beer garden so they can utilize that year-round. And the second one will probably be paid this month or possibly next month, which was JC Mexican Restaurant upgrading their fire alarm system. So about $700,000 worth of these grants were approved. Of course, they're not all $50,000. Some of them were $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000, and $615,000 has been paid out. So it's been updated. It was updated probably 4 or 5 times over the years. You know, we would, somebody on the board or staff would notice something that could or should be done better with it. So it had been improved a few times and updated. And one of the updates that was made was a 2-year clawback provision, and that was due to a couple of the early recipients that closed prior to the staying open for the 2 years. So we wanted to make sure if a business gets one of these grants, that the village would have some opportunity to recoup some of those funds if it closes. Background check requirement was made part of it as well. Number 3 was an online application, and I put by invitation because what was happening was we had like a PDF application for it that people would just fill out for like anything. And then we would have to end up telling them, well, somebody applied to upgrade their multifamily apartment complex that they owned, and other people. It was geared, as I mentioned, same as what we're going to present for sales tax producing businesses. So a lot of the healthcare providers, anyway, we made it so it was an online application that Scott or I had to send to you. You couldn't just go online and fill out an application. We added preference for military veterans. Never were taken up on that, but there was a military veteran who was looking very hard at opening kind of a downtown crafty type of workshop for a long time and asked that question. And we thought it was, when we were doing updates, some other updates, we thought that would be a good one just to put on there. Never came into play. And now, with the way we're going to propose it, it wouldn't come into play quite as much now, but there used to be different percentages sometimes. So the military preference would have been most likely like a couple $1,000 bump in the recommendation. Permanent fixtures were made eligible. I put that for outdoor dining, but that was also made for indoor dining. Again, that was put in place more to protect the village's investment, so somebody couldn't just take every chair and table, if that was part of the BETA grant, and just take everything, with them somewhere else. We wanted to make sure that wasn't going to happen. So it was changed in the last go-around about 2 years ago to only include permanent fixtures. And one other change that was made and was originally, there was a reapplication period. Somebody would have to wait 3 years to reapply, and it was reduced down to 2 years. So again, that's just really a quick background of a program that's been around for years, just some of the statistics about it. So there were a lot of notable success stories with it. Of course, I'd like to list them all out, but one that comes to mind right away, having worked for years and years with Mr. Rafidia, who purchased and completely renovated what used to be called Bartlett Plaza. I'm sure all of you who've been around for a while remember when it was almost completely vacant shopping center that was basically, I guess you could say, kind of dead, and lots of big empty spaces where the grocery store was and the Ace Hardware, and hadn't been improved for a long time. So there were 2 BETA grants made 2 years in a row to each of the 2 buildings in that, the L-shaped building as well as the building where O'Hare's was located. There were 2 BETA grants for that to help renovate that shopping center. More Brewing came in here and got a BETA grant when they were going through their project. And I just always point that out because that was a $50,000 BETA grant. They had to submit all their documents, just like every BETA recipient and every recipient going forward would have to do. And they've invested roughly $4 million in that building. So, I mean, very significant major project right in the middle of our downtown. BETA helped with that. Banbury Fair, our very own Mr. Suffern, had projects a couple years in a row, big projects, one of them bringing water and sewer infrastructure and upgrading the existing building over at 211 Railroad, where he's been for decades. And then there was a subsequent BETA grant that converted that historic 140-year-old barn into the background photo there you see, La Petite. That was with including a lot of the build-out costs. So Banbury Fair, hospitality anchors, 120 Live, O'Hare's, and Boss's Signature all came in for $50,000 grants through BETA. The smallest award was 903 for Holterhoff's Nursery. So I do want to point out that it did mostly apply to downtown businesses and buildings and kind of the way the program was structured, because it was encouraging renovation of some of these older structures. And where do you see the older structures or the underutilized structures in Bartlett? Like 90% of them were located right here in the downtown area. So, but we're here tonight talking about, how to best structure a new program, Belong in Bartlett grant program. And first of all, just the name itself. We went through a very long request for proposals process and reviewing and talking about branding at the EDC years ago and came up with the Belong in Bartlett brand that we utilize now. So I would like to tie that into it in terms of the name.
I don't want to interrupt Tony, but I see a lot of you looking at these slides, and I just want you to know, don't worry about interrupting us.
Oh,
It's
right.
okay if it's conversational. So as we go through the slides and as Tony talks, don't ever be afraid to raise your hand, interrupt. It's not rude at all, okay?
I do have a question. Can we go back to the prior slide? So one of these things are not like the other. So these seems like these are all small businesses except for more. So like, that's a big chain, whatever, I don't know what the accurate description is.
Like not a mom and pop type.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, why do they need it?
that's a good question. You know,
That's come up.
when you come up with the definition of small business, it's kind of a relative term. I would call more brewing a small business. It's just a different size and scope than some of the like smaller restaurants that you're asking about. I mean, if you were gonna look at the SBA, that's a federal agency. Their definition would have all of them as small businesses besides some of the bigger ones in our business park, based on employee number. It's just bigger in terms of with the size of the project, obviously, is big. But again, it's based on how you look at it. I view it as a small business. They have, I think, 3 or 4 locations. This was, after Villa Park, this was their second one.
Also too, just to add, it's not just the nature of the business, it's also the nature of the project. We worked with them for years on a much larger project in the business park, but suggested that they open up we called it a satellite campus in the downtown area to complement that. Eventually, they went a different direction, the bigger building. But in terms of the building they had, I mean, from an economic development standpoint, if they show that 2-story rooftop building and ask for help, it would be, the responsible thing would be to have a public-private partnership with a project like that. Does that make sense?
I mean, I'd like to add too, it is kind of a philosophy of how you want to like look at everything, because some people could take the stance of this is giving money to business. Like we had discussion on that. Or you can also look at it as a tool that Tony uses to encourage, you know, businesses to come in. You can correct me on anything too, but we've had discussion at like our board level too on, you know, what is right and good for the public good, you know, with it. So you could argue that having this money go there and more people come into our community to spend money and go other places is for the public good. So it's kind of like where you can kind of fall and like look how you look at everything. I think what we see today in the updates and what the sentiment has been is to do things that are more external, that aren't like inside happening with the business, but more like what it looks like from the outside. So if we're passing by and making things look better, so if there's like, you know, poor outside signage or, you know, things that we're trying to make it look nice outside, like with planters or things that look appealing, that it's evolving to be more of like a help with beautification and enjoyment of people. So we want people to come to our downtown. Maybe they come to one thing, and then they are hanging out at the benches and by the fountain, and then we're keeping them downtown, and then they say, hey, let's go get ice cream now. So it's kind of that's like the thought process behind it too, and how it's changing. So those are the things that we're looking for to like, really like no idea is bad, so please bring it up. We're just trying to like set the stage of like where we've been and where we're trying to go with it. But it is a tool that our village can use. So if someone comes in, let's say they're looking at 2 different spots like outside of Bartlett, you know, it's an incentive, right? So then how far can the incentive go or whatnot? So, but it's definitely been nice for like Holterhof's to, you know, change signage, right? So things start looking run down, paint's chipping, you know, whatever. It looks better for our community as a whole when the outside looks good, so.
Yeah, I think to touch on that, to have the external, you know, view of a property more inviting to bring people in, you know, either residents of the town or residents of other towns, I think that's just extremely important, especially since it's tax or sales tax generating, to have, I mean, just take more, for example, the retractable roof to be open all year round. That just brings in more revenue for the town, gets us more visibility, I guess, to outside residents. And I think it's, I mean, it's very important to have something like this in place, and to have the regulations, like you said, for the applications and things like that as well. Because someone can recommend as much as they want a certain business in town for everybody, but if somebody pulls up and it does not look appealing to them, they might not, I mean, they might go in, but they also just might have that stuck in their head, and they might not go back to it as well. And like Stephanie said, to continue around the town as well, to go to different areas of it and be more inviting for everybody.
And as you can see now, you know, not like too much before, but if stuff was like inside, or if we were buying, you know, things people could take with them if they shut down, right? Like, we don't really want that to happen. The idea was like, we're enhancing a property, so if someone leaves, that things stay there with it.
More appealing for someone
What's there
else.
for the next person, right?
Exactly.
I mean, correct, or?
No, absolutely correct. You covered a lot of interesting points. It's true. You know, it's part of meetings we have early on. You know, sometimes we meet with somebody 6 months or a year, or for years even, before they come into town. I mean, I can tell you specifically about Moore Brewing. Met with them for a very long time, looking at various sites, and included telling them about this program as part of an overall, you know, effort to attract them to town. In terms of what Commissioner Cook was saying about the exteriors, that is more the focus of what we're proposing with this, is to, you know, help encourage individual businesses and some commercial property owners to beautify their areas. For all of you as commissioners on this, when you talk about Bartlett from people out of town, you've heard some of the comments of what they would say, oh, it looks nice, or I like this place in particular, or that. They do like the places that foster the sense of community, for sure. And, you know, this is something we can use to encourage, you know, some new businesses that come in, if appropriate, certain types of businesses, to upgrade the appearance, like you mentioned. So that is the focus of it. My slide doesn't talk about every single one, but in the packet, there's kind of a long list, and it goes over awnings and canopies, stairs, sidewalks, porches, railings, signage, lighting, landscaping, kind of the whole gamut. It's kind of a laundry list. I should mention that almost every town in this area, if you Google small business incentive program, I looked at I think 7 different towns that I tried to kind of pick and choose some of the good elements of it, all the way from our neighbors like Streamwood and Hanover Park to Geneva and St. Charles and Arlington Heights and a whole bunch of towns. So my point is that this will cover almost any exterior type of improvement.
And you said small business is a requirement, like you said, Moore is a small business.
Oh, yeah.
So that is a requirement, is that it has to be a small business? Like McDonald's, okay, they say they want a sign. Are they eligible to?
I suppose, you know what, that's a good part of this discussion, because by the way the BETA program was originally written and crafted, even with all the updates, McDonald's technically would be eligible. Do we all think McDonald's should get a reimbursement for improving the appearance of their business? Well, probably not.
Everybody's still
Multi-billion-dollar
gonna go to McDonald's.
corporation. So, I mean, after I just even go over maybe one more slide, I'm just gonna turn it over. If there are ways to exclude businesses like that. If I go back a long time here, we had a temporary relief program during 2020, during the lockdown, and one of the parameters of it that the EDC and I helped put into it was businesses with 5 or more units were not eligible. Scott's saying 3. I think maybe I said 5 and somebody changed it to 3. It's either 3 or 5.
And also non-sales tax
I think it was
producing
5.
wasn't eligible.
Yeah.
Right? So like a dentist was
Right.
not eligible.
Oh, right, right. So some of the businesses that got it did have, Taylor Street had multiple units, a couple of them. So we could easily, tonight, put that in there and saying, it's up to you guys. Do you want to include franchise businesses, businesses with a certain amount of business units? This is part of a recommendation, and I'll get to that now. So anyway, I want to mention too, before I go to the next slide, besides the exterior improvements, we put one interior eligibility for what we call critical life safety improvements, such as fire suppression. If somebody wants to take an old dentist office and turn it into a restaurant with like a grill in it, one of the biggest expenses they would have, kind of an extraordinary expense, would be fire suppression. So we've included that in, not so much to pay for the floors and the restaurant equipment, like ovens and stuff like that, but fire suppression. I think we can all agree that's a critical aspect of any of these new business ventures. So here's some of the changes that we are proposing. Matching a straight 50-50 match. We didn't have that before, okay? We would have somebody get a $30,000 improvement, and our staff would meet, and we would go, well, we think we should reimburse it 35% or 40%. A lot of them that got the $50,000 is because they far, far exceeded spending $100,000. The lowest spending that got a $50,000 grant was about $150,000. But some of them went up to, I don't even want to say how much, some of these, $600,000, $500,000. So we figure, let's take the ambiguity out of it. If somebody's going to do a $20,000 upgrade and it's eligible, we're going to come here and say, $10,000 grant. Cap of $50,000, cumulative cap over a 4-year period. Please allow me to explain that a little bit. Right now, as the BETA grant program stood, I mentioned there was a 3-year waiting period and then a 2. So even if Halterhoff came in and got a $900 grant for their sign, we'd say, okay, you got to wait a few years, even if you want to remodel your barn that costs $500,000. You have to wait. And that, that's not the worst thing in the world. But with a rolling 4-year period, we'd go, okay, you can get a $5,000 grant for a new sign in 2026, but if you want to beautify the facade in 2027, you can come back for another grant. We did that back a long time ago. We had a TIF rebate program for our downtown, and we had a $30,000 number. That was the cap you could get every 3 years. If somebody applied, I would go into my records and go, okay, when's the last time they applied? How much did they get? And just go from there. So I put the example, $5,000 sign in 2026, still eligible for $45,000 for another project or projects. We'd like to see people doing ongoing beautification if they want. Flexible reapplication, I just mentioned. Put a minimum $2,000 minimum project for a $1,000 grant. And exterior focus, we talked about already. This is not an interior focus. Besides the life safety issues, it's tuck pointing, facades. Chairperson Gansey mentioned it at the committee meeting, maybe some public art type of stuff to really beautify the area.
Yeah, and that kind of came from, when I go to some other communities, you can even think St. Charles or Dundee, they have, big signs. I forget what it even says, it's not like a motivational type sign, but you could take pictures with it. And it was something where you can walk around. There's a giant chair in West Dundee that you can sit in. So it keeps people within the business district there. So I'd like to see that, and I'd like to see more of that here in Bartlett to help keep like people walking around instead of just going somewhere and then leaving.
Technical term now is Instagram worthy, but yes. Yes, a focal point of the community for people to be drawn to.
Like, I think we're, like, with the new fountain and things downtown, we kind of started, but I don't feel like it's completely done, you know, in the downtown area, and that there's opportunity. Like, we even talked about getting some public art there, you know, by the fountain. But, you know, just some things that help people enjoy the space that's around our businesses as well. I'm not quite sure, I guess the one caveat I see with that is I'm not quite sure if a business would enter into that unless there's something they could put like right outside on their property or something that's, you know, that they can get there that would draw people. You know, Instagrammable type things that would get people. So I guess it would just have to be something that they come up with that they feel would be beneficial to them and the community. But that's where I'd like to see, you know, more of this being used. And I love the aspect of the safety portion as well.
So I have a question about what I remember from the other program is that I believe there was some verbiage having to do with ineligible costs, which I didn't really see in this proposal. So if those ineligible costs are still valid in terms of the application, they need to be deducted off of the gross amount. Is that not correct?
That is correct.
So
That is correct.
should there be some language in here about ineligible costs?
We could add some of that. Yeah.
Is that like what's on page?
Yeah, there is the unqualified.
Unqualified, yeah.
expenses. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I'd put some in. It's been a while since I wrote that. There are, roof replacement and business equipment, there are ineligible costs. But I also want to clarify with you all, I mean, even before we would bring somebody to the CEAC, Scott and I typically would meet with them at least once. I'll tell you the philosophy of how I did this for 8 years of BETA grants. I'll tell you exactly. I would tell people, turn in everything to me, and I'll go over it, and we'll go over it. We've sat, I'm gonna use one of our commissioners here, Ms. O'Hare, as an example, where her record keeping was so meticulous, and she turned in, when she got a BETA grant, I don't even know how many documents. It was a lot. The file was like this thick, okay? I told her, turn in everything, and she did. When she bought a light switch at Ace Hardware for $3, she turned it in. And we went over it to say, well, this is eligible and this isn't. And we don't get a lot of like fight, you know, any kind of acrimony with the developers. We try to get our businesses, we try to get them as much eligible cost as they can. So that's usually something that comes up in a meeting when we sit with somebody and they talk about what improvements they do want to make. And to follow up on Chairperson Gansey's comment, we do, that's what we're trying to do tonight, is to maybe come up with some language or a few examples of what kind of projects do you want to make, you know, these more community building type of expenses, more so than an awning or a sign. We're still going to bring you mostly probably sign, you know, and facade type of projects. But we still want to have some businesses that have the opportunity for reimbursement if they are going to do something like she mentioned, some public art, sculpture, I haven't seen any murals in town, things like that, you know, that could really be eye-popping and make it, you know, foster the sense of community here. Doesn't have to be just in the downtown, too.
Yeah, because for instance, Elmhurst used to have, in the alleyway there, they had umbrellas, all the different color umbrellas. So it was beautiful because they had businesses down there and it wasn't front facing to the main part of the street, but there was a restaurant back there, there's some other things.
Well, the one
Yes.
with the crepes.
Yes, I used to work with her. So, it was I think of things like that, people blogged about it. There was buzz. It drew people in to come see artwork like that, right? And then they can stop at New Crepes. So those are the kind of things I was thinking. And I'm trying to think of like another like tangible example, like a what if scenario, but we had a young woman come in here who wanted to do body art, tattoos, and piercing, right? So someone like that might come in and say, hey, I'm gonna need signage, or maybe I want some planters or things outside, to help draw people, to the business, but is also improving the facade. So that would be like an example. So if we need to think in terms like that, but would love to hear from anybody, at this point.
Where does the, like the train station, there's lots of nice, open, empty wall that is also unfortunately crumbling, but where does that fall, like grants to do something like that at the train station, or does Metro do the train station?
Would that be Metro, or would that be us on the actual train station?
Yeah, like the.
Yeah, Metro is, that's their property. They're very strict about it. Yeah.
Getting back to so I know that I see that, and thank you for pointing that out, but I was trying to remember what we were talking about in the past about things that should not be paid for, and the one that comes to mind is building permits.
Right. Yeah, we would never make that.
Right, but
We would never reimburse that.
I don't see that on here as,
I mean, every single thing's not on there that wouldn't be eligible, but we
Okay.
can add, that's easy. That's a bullet point where I type building permits. It wouldn't just be building permits, licenses.
well, yeah, I just remember seeing more of that in the old program, and I didn't see it structured here, so that's why I was trying to pull that out.
That's a good, yeah,
So
I'd be happy to add that.
having said all of that, and I'm just going to throw this out because I don't think this is going to be eligible, but I want the committee's thoughts on this. When it comes to life safety, and, either from a cost standpoint or a walkable piece of equipment, just curious what people think about AEDs as a possibility of life safety equipment that could be eligible for this program. I mean, it's walkable, and I don't even think it's $2,000, but.
I think that's a good idea to put in there, and I think a good point that brings up is like bringing up ideas like that then we can promote, because part of this is promoting it and, letting people know and putting that idea in their head.
Yeah.
Right, so.
Yeah, because that kind of made me think when we're looking at, talking about the fire suppression systems, when we go to the ineligible things, it's got any work not visible from a public street, so we should probably put excluding fire suppression. But when I think of fire suppression and all the other things that we're looking to do and improve, part of the things that are included are the ADA, as long as on the exterior. I wonder why ADA on the interior couldn't be included, because somebody could have an older building and maybe hasn't updated the bathrooms because it's very expensive, and as long as they don't permit, they don't have to update them. But maybe that would encourage people to update, some of their restrooms and things like that, which also help the business, because you're going to attract some people that really couldn't go there because that wasn't really a accessible bathroom or accessible area for them previously. And so while it's not on the exterior, it's certainly just as
Yes,
valuable.
I think anything that can get more people to be able to.
Yeah, I think ADA stuff would be amazing because it would really help encourage. And, so it's kind of like the AEDs, it's the same thing. Not only are we friendly in protection and making sure that our residents and people who come here are safe, that we have these life-saving measures there, but also that we're welcoming to people that have different disabilities.
I like
It's
that.
a nice 360 circle for us.
That sounds good, yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of nodding. It seems like the commission
ADA plumbing.
feels like ADA is something to,
I 100% agree.
personally having relatives who
Yeah.
might be able to make it up a ramp, but struggle once they're inside, maybe an older structure. I think that's a nice addition.
That month on an e-scooter was no joke, man.
Oh, yeah, you know.
Until you have to do something,
Do
you
you
realize
realize?
how very little is.
Like you can't get in that bathroom.
Can can I say something? So when I was choosing my place, I was looking for like traffic, like how many cars are passing by business. And on 59 road, it's about like 35,000 per day. So it's pretty busy road. And I don't really, probably you know, guys, during that event for the Christmas, was a huge sign on 59 road when was the street done. Do you know where? At the corner was like huge sign about the event. And I was thinking, probably it's a huge investment, put like huge screen over there on the corner about the events, what's Bartlett, instead of like signs, and put maybe like solar, so that's gonna be more cheaper for us. And let's say like maybe some like a place for rent, or like new business. So it can be over there, so that people passing by, so they can be, oh my God, I work, I mean, I live in West Chicago, but maybe I'm supposed to rent something in Bartlett to be like closer to the house. And that would, I don't know.
If you're referring to West Bartlett and 59, where we put that obnoxious tree lighting sign up.
No, that was.
I really liked it. I loved it, but that's actually, is that what you were referring to? That big wall?
Yeah, that big wall,
Yeah,
put like huge screen, like.
Yeah, we've gotten over the years, we've had various boards and commissions mention that very idea, which is a really good one.
He's a huge over there.
Unfortunately, it is IDOT property, so we've gotten no a couple times, but things change, people change, times change, so we can certainly look at something like that again.
Some events, new restaurants, new openings, anything can be over there.
Kind of in the same,
Like businesses can pay extra money for advertising, so
Yeah, that's
it's extra money for that.
a little different than this, but we can always look into what their flexibility is, at least as a starting point.
So I'd like to hear from anyone, so since this is a tool for our village to use and encourage businesses that our residents want to have here, what else would be appealing to put yourself in the shoes of someone looking to have a business in Bartlett? What would be appealing about this, or other thoughts that you have?
I'm just going to throw out, I don't understand why a franchise wouldn't automatically be eligible. A lot of franchises start with an owner-operator who has 1 or 2 locations and is just starting. I think of Culver's, I think he only has, does he have 2 locations? Or is Bartlett the only one? I think it's.
No, they had Gurney, and, I mean, they've continued expanding.
There's one in Bloomingdale on Gary and,
That's the same owner?
oh, I'm not sure of the actual franchise, though, sorry, no, I'm not sure exactly.
Just because, why wouldn't we want to entice some of the franchises to come in as well, as long as they fit these other criteria and everything? They're putting a significant investment in there as well. I think everyone would agree Culver's is a good fit. I get the McDonald's, because when you think McDonald's, you just think so huge and all of that. But if, let's say it was an independent owner-operator of, I don't want to say McDonald's, let's say, I don't know, if Jack in the Box or something like that is like independent and things like that, they're a big name, but this is somebody who's just starting their franchise, and if they're willing to locate here and invest here, I think just because they're a big company behind them, it's really the franchisee who's taking the risk and investing their own personal money to start that business. They're just investing in, something that's already got a method to it, so.
Marcos is a good example right here downtown, because it's just a young guy and his sister, and they did get into a chain, but I've been having some difficulty figuring out how some businesses can actually use it, because they're leasing a space. So I had a lot of difficulties. My 3 locations was always with a lease. So you can't really do things, so there's not a friendly way in all of this to get the landlord to be part of the whole process. So some of the things that were available I couldn't actually do through my time here, especially on Main Street. There's a lot I would have liked to have done, but if you don't have the landlord involved, that business is going to not be able to do or tap into any of this.
Is it because the landlords think that they can't do this, or why don't we have like more?
I don't
They
know
just
how
don't
that
spend the money?
fits, like with the landlord, like,
Have you had problems with a landlord, like when people have?
You know what, it varies honestly center by center. And there are some landlords we know that would likely support this and, you know, perhaps pitch in for some of the improvements. There's others, I won't sit and name them tonight, who probably would not. But for the most part, if a new tenant is coming in and willing to put in some of their own funds and effort into improving the facade or appearance. I will mention one center, Oakfield Center, if somebody wanted to come in there and beautify, you know, their own storefront, that would be an example. And, you know, we do encourage them when new businesses come into some of the less well-maintained centers, we'll call it. We can tell them that this program exists, and we have,
And-
the BETA program. So it's kind of a case-by-case basis a little bit.
And one of the things that we actually do at Village Hall relative to this program that you don't see, you'll see a lot of the marketing and email blasts, but when there's a transfer stamp and a new owner takes ownership, we call them, talk to them about the program. We have some landlords that have never been to their center.
yeah.
Several landlords
No.
have never been to their center. I'll give you an example. The one over to my right looks like two different centers, right? Get the transfer stamp in, call the landlord, tell them about this program, change your whole facade, you could match it. How'd you get this phone number? So some of the things you see out there, you know, it is difficult. We are certainly trying. We are trying to accelerate some of this stuff, but Tony hit the nail on the head to answer your question. Every single landlord is different. There's no consistency.
So then what happens, I know we haven't used all 250,000 that's allocated towards this. Does it go back to our general fund?
It does, yeah. And just, that is one note that I wanted to make earlier in this meeting. The monies for this program is actually allocated through video gaming. So while it is Bartlett taxpayer dollars, it's allocated through that provision.
Just a follow-up on the corporate side of things, and I agree that these are franchisee owners and whatnot. What I don't know is, does their franchise agreement allow for certain corporate support? And if they have the corporate support, then Bartlett probably doesn't need to join in. But I don't know that. But I do think franchises are different, and so it depends on the franchisee agreement, I would guess.
Yeah, and I mean, you could write that right in there too. I hate to see a line that says franchises are excluded, because if I was a franchise and I was looking to come here, I'd probably be like, well, I'm not even gonna talk any further to you guys. I mean, my entire thing that I'm trying to bring to you is excluded. I mean, I totally get like the people that are non-sales generating, you know, like banks. I'll just throw them out there. Of course, you know, they should not receive any of this. They don't generate any revenue. They don't really add to any of that, and they have their own set of rules and things that they have to play by. But I just think taking an entire class of a certain type of business, because it really could be that one-off, really unique one where it's a franchise that we want to get in. I agree, McDonald's, but that's when you look at what does it say in their corporate agreement. Do they have a lot of support?
Right.
I would let Tony speak to this more so, but some of the franchise, the big players, the big names that you're going to see are either going to come on Route 20 in our new TIF or Route 59, and having that big type of drive times and success rates in terms of traffic flow and things like that, we'd probably go a different route like we did with Culver's. When you have the big boys, you do sales tax rebates, developer agreements, things of that nature. The BETA might not exactly fit those types of big corporate names anyways, but I think we should look at maybe limiting that, if I hear everybody right, maybe looking at something like we did in 2020, where if it's a certain amount of franchisees, I mean, I don't know, let us know what you're they could go, that's a tough question, to be honest.
Maybe if they are just in a downtown, like, put it by a geographic limitation so that it's not 59 and not 20. That might be an option, because, I mean, I like Marco's. I mean, I think they're great people, and they're doing their best. So that's my only example that I have, that I know they're always working and really trying to be successful.
That's a good example. Also recently, a restaurant called Dos Bros opened, and it's kind of like a newer franchise. And that's what I wanted to comment too, that, I mean, it is, as silly as it would seem to engage with, like, say, a Starbucks or a McDonald's with this, I don't think they would ask. But it seems like there's new franchises every so often. I mean, I met with the Dos Bros guys more than a year before they came into town, and literally came in with a brochure about, here's a new franchise burrito, fresh Mexican concept. And it wasn't like, okay, there's one on every corner. I had never really actually I heard of one in downtown Evanston. So, I mean, that would be an example too. It was really just a small business, somebody opening their first business, and it's a franchise, you know. In the future, I guess they would be eligible, is what we're
Both
hearing.
of the ones we're talking about too are both leased locations.
Right.
And they have so many limitations on improving the exterior.
They do. A lot of these would be really for signage or awnings. Or they do, in that center, some of them have some really nice outdoor dining areas like Atlas Chicken, and, you know, that would have been an eligible cost for this.
So, I have a couple comments to make. I first would, again, extend my appreciation for the BETA grant and how it helped Banbury Fair in developing our property. I'm saddened a bit that it's gone because much of the property in downtown Bartlett is for sale, has been for sale for a long time. And in order for a lot of that property to sell, it's going to have to be redeveloped. And a sign is not going to help the dance studio become something other than it is. And so at some point, I asked to reconsider in the future, perhaps doing the BETA grant again. As it pertains to like landlords, I don't know how many landlords are going to invest in something that isn't going to produce a return. And if you're going to ask me to spend $5,000 on a piece of art, and you're going to pay $2,500 for a piece of art, I don't know how many landlords are going to do that. I don't know how many landlords are going to beautify, you know, I've only been in the town for a little while, but I know the landlords that want to paint their buildings or put a few hanging baskets in front of their buildings. That's about it. So I don't know who you would be targeting to take advantage of this. I love some of the concepts of signage to promote an image, and I see that in Geneva and St. Charles and some of the other upscale areas. But most of that signage is done on street posts or village property, or kind of, I don't know what you call a property that nobody owns, that village owns the property, but I've dreamed of a big sign at 59 and West Bartlett Road.
Yeah, that would be
Because
awesome.
one of our inputs on the branding was that no one knows where Bartlett is.
Yeah.
And that wasn't addressed in the Belong in Bartlett, because 42 years in Bartlett, nobody knows where downtown Bartlett is. And they still don't know where downtown Bartlett is.
So I think
And so
there's,
signage to let people know streets of Bartlett are over here, or Moore Brewing is over here, or some of the great places that we have are 1 mile off of Lake Street, 1 mile off of 59.
Almost like distance markers.
Anything,
Signage distance markers, yeah.
anything.
Just turn here.
Anything that says downtown Bartlett, this way, cute little downtown
I
Bartlett.
think we do have some with like the TIF and things going there, and we've talked about like signage on 59. However, like that wouldn't be something in this particular, like for this
But
grant.
what happens, for example, if at the end of this year, no one uses this?
So that's what I was just going to bring up, like, instead of it going straight back to the general fund, could there be, if there's projects that we'd want to like earmark it for? Like,
I mean, we're looking for your input and recommendations on that. That could be something incorporated into this. This is, I mean, it's traditionally has been, as I mentioned, a small business type of grant.
right, but if then
Also
if it's
applied,
not used.
but if it's not used,
Yeah,
this, you know, this can be, I mentioned, the BETA grant program was updated a bunch of times. I think if we sit here a year from now and there's nobody taking us up, we got to go back to the drawing.
and that's why it changed, and that's why we weren't, because we weren't getting anybody else.
I know.
So it's like it ran its course, it did what it was supposed to do, but we couldn't operate it the same
Well,
way.
it ran its course to a degree, unless you had some new money looking to invest in property in downtown Bartlett or in Bartlett. And you all know I'm trying to sell our property, and to have a potential investor come in, and we had a beta grant available to them, that was something of interest to them. No, again, I'm just using me as an example.
For what?
For redevelopment. You know, they would gut the inside, and any of these old buildings that we have in the downtown all would have to be gutted, whether it's Franco's or where the pharmacy is, that building's been for sale for 20 years. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants the dance studio. It has to be redeveloped. But again, I would encourage the board to consider retaining experts, counselors, as to what kind of marquee signs on our major thoroughfares we could put up that would project that image that we're looking to get,
We've definitely had that discussion as we move like forward with
and use this money for that, because,
fine with adding some kind of, for our discussion for the board, like when the money's not used, what could it be for?
But this money is still available. There is still,
It rolls every year.
okay, so that, I realize that, but although we might be reframing it, it's still a beta grant.
Right,
It's still available.
the last couple of months, when we've spoken to prospective businesses about this program, we've told them that kind of the timeline of this and the framework of this and the direction of it. It's only been a couple. Yeah, but yes, the money's still available, but
I don't think so many people know about that program too.
Tony and Scott do reach out. They've like reached out to all the businesses here.
Okay.
And when someone calls looking, that's how they,
Because I was thinking even put on the front store, the QR code for the app, like we have for Bartlett, for example, the stickers on the front doors. So encourage like owners of the businesses put a sticker with the QR code for the app for Bartlett, because I didn't know even we have like app for the Bartlett before I came here, be honest with you. So the people going for like, I don't know, nail place, so they're gonna see like Bartlett huge sign with the QR code, they're gonna scan, they're gonna get like nails done, but they're gonna like looking for what the Bartlett app have it inside. So if the village can find, I mean, not find, but just printing out these huge stickers for every business who is in the village, and put on the front door. That would be something for the people who are looking for some businesses maybe to open in Bartlett or some information about the Bartlett. Because Abby is amazing when I don't know that. I'm like, oh my God, what I can see here, but I didn't know before about that.
I kind of like Bruce's point, like when we think about like redevelopment, you know, a couple of the businesses you brought up are a really good point. Like you look at the dance studio. Dance studios don't really come in and, you know, I mean, it's kind of like a thing that isn't happening anymore, you know? But yet if somebody wanted to go in there, and I'm just trying to think of a business, I don't know, like a dog groomer, or, and I hate to say a pizza place, a barber, or something like that, you know? A dry cleaner, although the chemicals, I shouldn't have said that one. But something wants to go in there that's totally different than a dance studio, and it's gonna require that there's some rehab work inside there. It would be nice if there were certain additional things that could be considered for a beta, to repurpose something for a new purpose. Because are we just so pigeoned that, okay, it's this huge open area, well, what happens if I don't want a huge open area? I need to have little, like, doggy suites for my doggy grooming or whatever, in my retail area, or things like that. Is there a way to include some of those interiors?
So we did have that, correct? We did, I can tell you.
That's right.
It wasn't a,
So here's kind of the flip side.
yeah,
right, or
absolutely.
My opinion, I guess. So we had the restaurant, right? We bought restaurant equipment, then he turned around and sold it.
Yeah.
So I guess
Yeah, and I
There's a way
totally
of
get that. 'cause-
excluding- there's a
yeah,
way of
Yeah,
excluding,
so could it be things that are, you know, like walls or floors that go to a certain purpose? Because, yeah, I get things that can move, I mean, as a former banker, if something moves, yeah, there goes your lien, good luck finding it, you know, it's like,
And if
Stephens
it's
is
too
gone.
specific, it can't be used for whatever comes next. They're gonna wipe it out and
Yeah.
start over anyways.
Well, I mean, in all the years, we've never gone through our whole full $250,000, you know, and so to Stephanie's point, it would be nice to have that reserve money go back to like capital projects that the EDC has said, these are
get the
important
goal, yeah, like here's the
Yeah,
goal
yeah.
for.
Things that feed into what the future plans are, and so it's not another budget line item, it's left over from an item that didn't get used, because
buy a piece of
every year-
artwork, or three, and put them in different areas.
That's what I would like, something like, that would be,
Are those
Because what we've done in
Wings.
the downtown with the new fountain and all of that, that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah.
But I do think you need professionals to kind of advise where strategically the best place would be for the artwork and/or the signage or whatever it might be. And then the other thing, and of course, I do generate sales tax, so I'm one of those guys, but for the banks and the dentist's office, they pay property tax. And to exclude them from beautifying their buildings, which in many instances are prominent in the town, why not allow them to beautify?
Is there any problem with that, Tony? Like, we wouldn't have any kind of,
I mean, it really is a policy decision. I think it was based on when we started, like the beta program, for instance. The village's business mix was primarily service-oriented and offices. Like even with the closing of the bike shop recently, there's just not very many retailers. So it was an effort to increase the retail presence in Bartlett, to try to entice one when we got a chance to get one. And also, obviously, the restaurants. If you look at that chart of the beta recipients, it's almost really all restaurants.
I mean, yeah, so I personally would be fine including that, since the goal is kind of to make it like the beautification of the outside, so we're not like having like a gap somewhere of someone who's gonna let their stuff run down, like if this encourages them to clean up the front and get a nice sign.
We've thought about this a lot.
have a
I'm
lot.
sure you folks have too. One of the things that's difficult about the program and making sure that it's equitable, I mean, the question that you proposed this evening, which was a really good one, let's say you have an old doctor's office or an old chiropractor that's been in town for 30, 40, 50 years, and they want to put flowers and new facade and new roof and new windows, art sculpture, great. Oh, okay, you could spend this money. Then if an animal hospital wants to go on Army Trail on 59, are you doing the same for that? I don't know, that's just a question, something for you folks to consider when you go down that line, right? So just something to consider. And another consideration, Chairman Gaines, if you want to, nothing's got to be decided tonight. We're not going to lose a pivotal business if nothing's decided tonight. So you could certainly, if you wanted to keep it rolling or take the comments tonight, put them in, keep reporting, certainly up to you folks.
Well, you just don't have that much retail anymore. That's, you don't. And so to have a program that's focused only on retail and what retail you might get, as much as I would love to have that happen, I would love to have more retailers. With our demographic and with our traffic in downtown, ain't gonna happen, I don't think. And personally, I think it should apply for all of Bartlett, whether it's Army Trail Road and 59 or any place else, because again, they're paying property tax and they're part of the community.
I can see that, because I didn't really think about like dentists. When I think about non-sales tax, of course, my mind automatically goes to banks. But I can see, obviously, like dental, like look at Dr. Ryan, look at Dr. Durango, all of that. She has a huge building right there. You said Franco's, his salon is all of that and everything. I think there's a way to perhaps include those and still exclude some of the places like banks by saying, more than so many locations, you become ineligible, because I certainly don't think any of the financial institutions need any funds to improve their things.
And they wouldn't go 50-50 on it.
Yeah, and I just think you put something in there that if there's more than this many owned by that corporation, it excludes them, so.
If we're not using the money up heretofore, we haven't used it all up.
No, never.
Why not broaden it and get more, opportunities to use it rather than limit it?
I still have some difficulty as a person who's always leased, because I did in the past, an exorbitant amount of money in common area maintenance, but it didn't happen. So, the businesses are charged an incredible amount of money, and I crashed my car because there wasn't a light in the parking lot, and people don't like it because there's no bushes or outdoor seating or delineation between the parking and the road and stuff. So those people aren't necessarily paying a property tax, because
Sure.
the lease payment, it's including the CAM, and it goes to that landlord. And I think I'm just in the mud right now with my experiences with wanting to improve with no landlord support.
Right. No, that's a good point.
I don't think they use the common area maintenance, to tell you the truth.
So for today, though, I did like hearing about the ADA, AED.
Yes.
I think that was great. I think considering service businesses, if it's beautification outside, and then talking about if we don't spend the funds, what can the money be used for to still get to the goal of bringing people to Bartlett? Are those like the big topics I heard tonight that we can pass, that we can add to this? And would this go to the board next to committee to discuss?
If those are like all of the recommendations you think coming out of this discussion, then I mean, when the commission is ready for sending this recommendation, it'll go back to the village board committee.
So the committee is not our final vote, we're just discussing it, so we'll
Yeah.
take these into consideration. There'll probably be new things that come up, people's opinions will come in to play there as well. And then that would happen before it would go to our board meeting at another meeting for a final vote.
Right, so we've got one more discussion on this at least next month, I would say. Because we've put a lot on the table right now.
So it could go to
We've got
committee of
more to
whole, and then
think
we'd have to
about.
send it back to here.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to keep going back and forth. If you feel like you want to discuss
Another
this
month?
at the February meeting, this will be on
Okay.
the agenda in the February.
And let's do that. We'll
Yeah.
just put it back on the
Yeah,
February.
we'll just put it
agenda.
on the agenda. Yeah.
I suggest taking a look at what other communities do, or thinking what you see in other communities and like taking note. Because I could tell you, there's communities that don't offer anything. I'm working with a company right now, and I was calling, there's 0 incentives for a business that wants to come in. So this is something special that we have in Bartlett. It's definitely an incentive.
That sounds good.
So I suggest, like, I do a lot of, just looking online, or when you're driving through other communities, kind of like, take a look and really like, think about what we talked about today, and apply it to what you're seeing other places. And then we can come back in February and talk about it.
Take pictures, do recordings.
Perfect.
One more suggestion, if I may.
Sure.
Please ask us questions. Chairman Gansey, myself, Tony, we're here as a resource. Don't be a stranger, and if you have any questions about the program, please feel free to ask.
Thank you. All right. Anything else with that? Then we'll put it at in our February meeting.
Awesome.
All right, any new business?
Yeah, we want to talk about some food here.
Okay.
We're having a best pizza contest right now. A few years ago, and I think it was at the EDC, and we were talking about, my gosh, it's so slow after the holidays, and we speak with a lot of restaurant owners, and so we know that January and February can be some very cold, difficult months here. And so in the past, we've done a best burger contest. I believe McMay's came out victorious in that 2 years ago. And then there was a best taco contest north of the border. Got the most votes on that one. And so now we're doing a controversial best pizza and Bartlett contest.
Already causing.
There's,
Interesting.
we've put 14 places. They're not all just like a pizza place, okay? There's places with pizza in the name, but there's also places that have burgers and fish and chicken and pizza. And so we have 14 places on the map online, on the village website, where you can cast your vote for best specialty pizza, best cheese pizza, or your best favorite overall pizza place. And so make sure that you eat some pizza in Bartlett. I wrote the dates down here. It started last Friday, and it goes through the 26th.
So I was thinking it would be really fun if we encourage people to send in pictures, if like them and their friend, or their family or friends ordered like 3 or more different ones in a night, and like took pictures trying it, if like we just asked them to send it in, that we can use it. I thought that would be a really fun way to help promote it.
I think it would be neat too, because like, once things go for a while, it kind of starts losing legs a little bit, although I will say it is controversial because I was hit by 3 different people about this thing. Maybe putting out there an update as of today, we've received this many votes so far. Keep your votes coming, so people know that they can go in there and vote every single day. Because I think once they see that there's still voting happening, that traction keeps going, and they're not like, oh, I already voted, I'm done, so. Kind of maybe have like a ticker as to how many votes or something.
We'll take a look at
TMNT
that.
to come on in.
Yeah, we want to do anything we can to keep the engagement level high. And, I mean, this is, when it comes to the economic development portion of CEAC, we talk about new business and business retention. Same thing with the grant we just talked about as part of business retention. And this is the same thing. We don't want people struggling during these cold months. Of course, the Bears winning a couple more
Helps.
games could probably help all the eating and drinking establishments
sure does.
in town. So we just wanted to make sure that you all, as commissioners, on your own posts, do some of your own pizza posts, or at least buy a pizza and vote. From now through the 26th. And so I guess by our next meeting, I don't know if it'll be ready to be made public, but we'll know who the pizza winner is. And we've let them know. We've emailed to them. I've called them. I've stopped in on foot to the downtown businesses to let them know. And some of them are doing specialty pizzas, by the way, just for the, just for this contest. So I'm excited about it. I think I'm going to eat some pizza.
When does it go through?
Through the 26th.
Perfect, yeah, so we got this weekend.
Yeah, 9th through the 26th.
And then, may I ask, right after that, is it at Restaurant Week?
Yes, indeed. That was our next,
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean.
no, that's
to get rid of
okay.
you.
That's okay. Yeah, you know what? I didn't look to see what the second Monday night is of February, so I don't know if it's the 7th or the 14th or what it is. But the restaurant week is from the 2nd through the 8th.
Okay, so
And
is
we
our-
did one last year, you recall, I think, I'm trying to remember the exact amount of participants. It was pretty good for the first year. I want to say it was in the mid-20s or so. And, we did, last year, we did some TV spots promoting it, and we're really, pushing it pretty hard. So again, we know that these are cold months. We talk about, I am tying it back into the grant. People love sitting outside and eating at like a leisurely meal. What could be better than sitting outside when it's 70 degrees, But for these days when it might be anywhere from 30 degrees down to 30 below, is when we targeted to do these. We talked about it last year a lot. And we tried to work it around so it wouldn't conflict with some of the other big restaurant eating and drinking days like the Super Bowl and Valentine's Day. So we're doing it from the 2nd through the 8th.
I think the 8th is the Super Bowl.
Is it?
Pretty positive.
Perfect day to end restaurant week.
Everyone can get their stuff.
Is there a contest associated with that? No, it's
No,
just promotional.
Just like specials
Yeah.
and getting people
Okay.
out and
There
extra.
were, a lot of places had specialty dishes. We encouraged them to come up with something. You don't have to. Everybody asks me that for Pizza Week. Do I have to come up? Well, you don't have to come up with a
It's kind of taken, they
pizza,
can either do their own
but it's something
marketing.
you can do. Some of the places that are the top contenders here have been making the same type of pizzas, the same type of way for many, many years, very successfully. But again, these are two things we do to promote eating and drinking in town. It is one of our bigger sales tax producing categories.
So you have the pizza and restaurant. Can we do like beauty and wellness week as well?
Beauty and wellness week.
That's a good idea. I like that. I think that'd be awesome.
We should, when would that be? What time of year should that be?
Warm
Like prom, right?
Mother's Day
That
or
would be
prom's a good one.
prom.
It's really, you think about the gyms, the beauty, the massage.
Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
like, Yeah,
Yeah, self-care.
Yeah.
Done.
I love that.
Good idea.
Hair, yeah,
Good one.
there's a lot of them. Tony, can I just ask about Restaurant Week, just so that I'm prepared for Thursday for the chamber? We did check with Hanover Park and make sure that that's not the same time as their Restaurant Week? Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
we planned it to our
Just need to
own.
be- Just need to be ready for that one. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'll be at the meeting Thursday as well.
Thank you.
Those are my two things I wanted to point out.
Perfect. Is there anything else?
Yeah, I got one more thing I want to show you, kind of a preview. You might switch into
No, I'll switch.
one of the
They're longer
things
than our
that
board
you'll be
meetings.
seeing a lot, really over the next few months, is news about our Lake Street TIF. And I want to just, can't I find this
Looking to minimize this out of
thing?
here. It's
Just
gonna
wanna
go
put
all
the
hinky
internet.
again.
Yeah, that'd be really good.
All right, that's good. Thanks, Tony. We, right now, some of us on staff are interviewing planning consultants for the Lake Street TIF District, and we're pretty close to bringing those results to the board. And one of the things, and I'm sure you'll have quite a bit of involvement in it, is there's going to be kind of like a public outreach in terms of what the vision is for the community, what the vision is for folks like you, what the vision is for our village board, and then take that vision and combine it with what's financially feasible, what's feasible in the market, what can actually go there, and kind of combine the actuality with the dreams of folks like you. And from that will then be somewhat of a conceptual plan. And then once we have that conceptual plan, that's what's going to be sent out to the development community. And one of the things that's going to be happening simultaneously with that as it starts later in the spring is our branding consultant that a lot of you are familiar with are going to be working on a TIF landing page. That's something that is budgeted through the TIF. And so it's going to be kind of like, it's a landing page. It's not going to look like the village website. It's going to be a sub-page. And one of the things that we also have them looking at is, excuse me, I hate working this thing while I'm sitting here. One of the things we're also going to have them look at is our TIF database, which is really kind of in its infancy right now. We launched it, but we don't use it too much quite yet because it's still being built out. Oh, excuse me, that's not it.
Yeah, that's the TIF plan.
That's a TIF plan. That's the boring part. Hold on. It's like 182 pages. If you want to go through that, we'll answer questions at a later time. This is going to be one of the key functions of the new landing page. And that work is going to be starting probably also in the spring. So it's going to be built out in congruence with the planning folks. And one of the pages they're going to look in particular is kind of connecting this page to our landing page. And this program is called ESRI, and it talks really well with our website, our new website provider, which is Civic Plus. So the programs talk well together. That was good news that we received this week. So one of the things as we continue to build this out is updates on some of the various properties. And we're also working on getting permission to drone all the properties. So if you look here, this is the property the village closed on earlier this year. And it kind of shows drone footage of the property. Then it shows kind of where to click for more information. So every property kind of has that build out to it. And again, we're going to have drone footage and updates and build out once we're at a full capacity as a staff. But this is something that I'll send you this week that I want you to get familiar with. Again, it's still in its infancy, but you're going to see this grow quite a bit over the course of the year, and it's something we're going to ask for your input on. So I will send that to you this week, but just wanted to give you a little teaser of this database. And that's all I have for new business.
Thank you. That looks great. I'm excited to see that landing page, too. Get that.
Yeah, so we're going to clean that up, and once everything's kind of compiled, we've slowly started using it a little bit with certain properties, but once it's fully built out and ready to go, we're going to be spreading it like wildfire with several different sources of media. Some nobody here has ever heard of because it's really development focused, but we'll bring that to you and keep you abreast of those updates.
All right, does anyone have anything else they want to bring up under new business? All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. All right, then we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Or you have to, we'll just return. All right. Perfect, thank you guys for all the inputs. I look forward to what's going to come next month.
All right, back to, stop it.